Movie mistakes come in many forms. Sometimes it's plot holes or continuity errors, other times it's just poor judgment by the filmmakers. When it comes to superhero movies, there's a long history of questionable decisions that have made us roll our eyes and throw popcorn at the screen. So many, in fact, that we decided to limit our list of facepalm-inducing moments to films based on DC properties. Here are the biggest mistakes that DC movies have made so far. Superman turns back time. You could say it's the superhero movie that started it all. Richard Donner's 1978 Superman is a classic, establishing many of the tropes that remain in this age of endless superhero movies. However, this is the only time, in any version of the character, that Superman has the ability to turn back time. In the film's climax, Superman has to deal with 2 nuclear missiles, only to discover that the aftershock of one of them killed Lois Lane. A devastated Superman starts flying circles around the Earth so fast he manages to turn back time and save Lois. This is a big power to establish in one film and then never use again. Events have less meaning when Superman can just undo them anytime he feels like flying real fast. But apparently Lois is the only one worth busting this trick out for. Batman and Robin, all the puns. The only thing the debacle that was Batman and Robin accomplished was undoing everything Tim Burton did to make the Caped Crusader cool in 1989. Burton took the character as far away from the campy 1960s TV show as he could, only for Warner Bros. And Joel Schumacher to bring him right back, complete with bat nipples, bat credit cards, and terrible, terrible puns.
Stay cool, bird boy.
One IMDb user counted no less than 27 ice puns used by Mr. Freeze alone. The movie received such a frosty reception that they froze production on the 5th Batman movie, and waited 8 years for audiences to chill out before relaunching with Batman Begins. Catwoman, the basketball scene. Catwoman was the first attempt to bring a DC character back to the big screen after the failure of Batman and Robin, and it didn't fare much better. From bad CGI to any excuse to show off Halle Berry's midsection, there are almost too many cringe-inducing moments to choose from.
It's overtime.
The basketball scene, however, is next-level bad. What's supposed to be some fun flirtation over a game of one-on-one between Catwoman and Benjamin Bratt's detective character ends up looking more like a 1990s Sunny D commercial. The dizzying camera movements and quick cuts were presumably meant to add to the scene's playfulness, but instead add to the scene's overall bizarreness. Watchmen, hallelujah. Zack Snyder's extremely literal interpretation of Watchmen is as divisive today as when it came out in 2009. Love it or hate it, one thing that almost everyone can agree on is the misguided choice of putting Leonard Cohen's solemn voice singing Hallelujah over the sex scene between Night Owl and Silk Spectre. The song choice adds a whole new layer of awkwardness to an already awkward sex scene. It's unclear what his intentions were here, and whether we're supposed to take the scene seriously or not. The real victims here are the young people who see the film, then put Leonard Cohen on the next time they're trying to set the mood on a date. Green Lantern, CGI suit. In 2011, as the Marvel Cinematic Universe was ramping up towards the Avengers, and Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy was winding down, DC was in need of another franchise. Their attempt came in the form of the Green Lantern. Unfortunately, it failed to meet expectations and the sequel was scrapped. Some blame this on the overuse of CGI, particularly in regards to the Green Lantern suit. One of the fun parts of live-action superhero movies is seeing their costumes brought to life, but the Green Lantern's was just animated onto Ryan Reynolds' body. A fact he makes a dig at in Deadpool when Wade Wilson stipulates that his supersuit can't be green or animated. The Dark Knight Rises. Where's the Dark Knight? When audiences go into a Batman movie, there are certain things they expect to see. Cool villains, a grimy Gotham City, the Batmobile, but above all, Batman. Bruce Wayne hung up his cape in the previous film, so we knew we'd have to wait for events to force him to suit up again, and Nolan stretches that anticipation for as long as possible, only to have Batman defeat it and start another road to recovery. If you break down Batman's screen time, he's only in about 30 minutes of the movie, which is actually pretty close to Batman's screen time in the other films, but when you consider that The Dark Knight Rises is the longest Batman movie running 2 hours and 45 minutes, that's a lot of time spent without the story's hero. Seriously, we've seen bread rise faster than this Dark Knight. Man of Steel, Jonathan Kent's death scene. Remember that scene in Austin Powers when the security guard doesn't get out of the way of the slow-moving steamroller? This is what it felt like when watching Kevin Costner's death scene in Man of Steel. Sure, the tornado was moving faster than a steamroller, and it was a powerful scene where Clark had to choose not to use his powers to save his father, but the way the scene was constructed, it looks like he doesn't even try to save himself. Perhaps Jonathan Kent had his own demons he just wanted to escape. In Zack Snyder's dreary universe, that's not too far-fetched. Batman vs. Superman. Have we met? When Batman and Superman meet in the comics or animated films, they're usually able to deduce one another's secret identities pretty quickly. For some reason, they decided not to take this route in Dawn of Justice, while also adding elements that made it even less plausible. Batman is supposed to be the world's greatest detective, and in this story he's already been focusing on Superman for 2 years, when he meets Clark Kent. Yet he's unable to connect the dots. And even though Kent is a journalist for a major news corporation, he doesn't have any clue who billionaire Bruce Wayne is when he meets him. Superman also apparently respects Batman's privacy by choosing not to use his X-ray vision to look through Batman's mask. If they knew each other's identities, they could have bonded over having moms with the same name long before almost killing each other. DCEU. Too little, too late? One of the biggest issues with the first 2 official DC Extended Universe movies is that they feel very rushed. With the failure of Superman Returns and the Green Lantern, and the conclusion of the Dark Knight trilogy, DC needed desperately to create something that competed with the MCU. Superman was supposed to have a second standalone film before introducing Batman, but after the lukewarm reception Man of Steel got, they needed to bring out the big guns. Even though these first 2 films were mediocre at best, there are already 11 more films in various stages of development that will expand on this universe. DC is really putting the cart in front of the horse here in an obvious attempt to catch up with what Marvel has achieved. Here's hoping that rushed productions don't result in more DC disappointment. Those are just a few of the things that have bugged us in DC's movies over the years. Were there any other choices they've made you felt were a mistake? Let us know in the comments and be sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one.